We studied the Fluharty Preschool Speech and Language Screening Test, second edition. These are just some images. That's the front of it and the objects that are in the test.
What does the test measure? The examinee's ability relative to general language, receptive language, and expressive language. Subtests used to measure general language quotient, receptive language quotient, and expressive language quotient.
For what ages has this test been normed? The age group is 3 years to 6 years and 11 months, which is preschool ages. The testing time is about 10 minutes, which provides rapid identification of preschool children for whom further speech and language evaluation is recommended.
The subtests are articulation, repeating sentences, following directives and answering questions, describing actions, and sequencing events.
Subtest 1 is articulation, which evaluates the ability to articulate single-word responses accurately.
Subtest 2 is repeating sentences, which measures the ability to recall and reproduce a variety of sentence patterns, including sentences containing negation or embedded adjectives and complex sentences.
Subtest 3 is following directives and answering questions, which measures the ability to abstract the meaning of an utterance to follow an instruction accurately or respond to a question appropriately.
Subtest 4 is describing actions, which measures the ability to select the verb from the lexicon and incorporate it into an appropriate sentence structure pattern.
The final subtest is sequencing events, which measures the ability to formulate properly sequenced sentences on a designated topic to convey information to the listener.
And this is the video demonstrating the subtest.
Show you some pictures, and I want you to tell me what they were called. Are you ready?
Yes.
What is this?
Cake.
That's correct. I'm going to say some sentences. After I finish, I want you to say exactly what I have said. Say the same thing I say. Let's try a sentence. Are you ready?
Yes.
The dog barked.
The dog barked.
That's good. I want you to do what I say. Show me one block. Good, that is one block. Let's try some more. I want you to tell me some things about you. Are you ready?
Yes.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
None. I'm the only child.
Now I'm going to show you some pictures, and I want you to tell me about the pictures. If I show you a picture of someone reading, you might say she's reading a book, or the person is reading a book. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about this picture.
The person is writing a letter.
Oh, that's good. Now I'm going to ask you to tell me how to do some things that I might need to know how to do. I'll go first. I'm going to tell you all the things I need to do to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. First, I get 2 pieces of bread, a knife, the peanut butter, and the jelly. I open the peanut butter and spread some on one piece of bread with the knife. I open the jelly and spread some of it on the other piece of bread with the knife. Then, I put the 2 pieces of bread together and I eat my sandwich. Now it's your turn. Are you ready?
Yes.
I want you to tell me the things I would need to do to wash my hands.
Okay, the first thing would be to rinse your hands with warm water, then you add the soap, and then you rinse the soap off with the warm water, and then you dry your hands.
To get the total raw score of each part of the subtest, if she said a correct answer or an appropriate answer, I'd place 1 next to the item number, and if she said an inappropriate or incorrect response, I'd place a 0. So for each subtest, the total raw score is derived from adding this up.
So the test does not specify a critical range. Specific basal and ceiling rules are not provided. Correct responses get a 1 and incorrect responses get a 0 in the space next to each item for a subtest.
Is this test norm or criterion reference? The Fluharty 2 is a norm reference screening test designed and thoroughly analyzed to provide satisfactory statistical information. The reliability method used was the test-retest method. They tested 30 children, 15 3-year-olds and 15 5-year-olds, twice with a 4-month period between testings. and the compared scores had a high correlation.
This is a valid screening measure of language ability that examiners can apply with confidence. The validity of the items is ultimately supported by the results of confidential item and item analysis procedure used to choose items during the developmental stages of construction.
Performance scores. The Fluharty 2 yields 5 types of scores: raw scores, age equivalents, percentiles, standard scores for the subtest, and quotients for the composite scores. On the examiner record form, the student info is placed. They record the subtest results, the composite scores, graphically display results, and record item performance. In section 2, raw scores, age equivalent, percentiles, and standard scores for each subtest are recorded. In section 3, subtest standard scores are assigned to the composites that represent constructs. The standard scores are converted to quotient scores and percentiles by consulting tables in the appendix. The 3 quotients are general language quotient, which is comprised of subtests 2, 3, 4, and 5.
An awareness of and access to syntax, semantics, and pragmatics of oral language.
The receptive language quotient, which is comprised of subtests 2 and 3.
Which represents the examinee's ability to retrieve and reproduce a variety of sentence patterns, including sentences containing negation or embedded adjectives and complex sentences, and to abstract the meaning of an utterance, to follow an instruction accurately, to respond to a question appropriately.
And the expressive language quotient is comprised of subtests 4 and 5.
Which is the ability to select a verb from a lexicon and incorporate it into an appropriate sentence structure pattern, and to formulate properly sequenced sentence on a design topic to convey information to the listener.
The most reliable scores for the Fluharty 2 are the composite quotient scores. The composite scores are derived by adding the subtest standard scores and converting the sum to a quotient using a table. In section 5 on the record form, examiner graphs test results to identify presence of any discrepancies.
So here is a test protocol which measures the subtest. There's 5 sections, which is identifying information, the record scores, composite scores, and the profile of scores. The advantage is that the activities are designed to be appealing to young children who are unfamiliar with the examiner and to sample a variety of language skills.
A disadvantage is that the reliability associated with subtests is generally lower than that associated with composites.